This is a radiolabeling training video for the yttrium-90 clavatuzumab tektraxetan. This presentation is for demonstration purposes only. Radiolabeling must be performed within an ISO Class 5 PEC with radiation shielding using ALARA principles. Appropriate aseptic techniques are required in all compounding and dispensing steps. Some key introductory points are the following. Radiolabeling shall only be performed by qualified pharmacists who have been properly trained and documented this training. The yttrium-90 clavatuzumab tektraxetan radiolabeling worksheet is to be completed concurrently with this procedure. ALARA and aseptic techniques should always be maintained. The yttrium-90 clavatuzumab tektraxetan currently has a beyond use date of 24 hours post-compounding. Only high purity yttrium-90 chloride provided by authorized vendors shall be used. Each radiolabeling kit has 3 color-coded caps. The clavatuzumab tektraxetan vial has a yellow cap. The DTPA vial has a white cap. And the ammonium acetate vial has an orange cap. To summarize again, radiolabeling must always be performed with adequate radiation shielding using ALARA principles. Exposure to hand should always be minimized by reducing direct exposure time, working with adequately shielded source vials and syringes, maximizing distance between hands and source. Clavatuzumab tektraxetan should be added to the yttrium-90 chloride vial by introducing it down the side of the vial, with the vial slanted. Use radioactive shields and other disposables should be immediately discarded. Unit dose syringes should be dispensed with lower law caps and stored and/or shipped in an appropriate container. Step 1. Remove clavatuzumab tektraxetan kit from refrigeration and allow approximately 30 minutes for reagents to reach room temperature. Step 2. Place the aluminum heating block into the block heater. Note that the smaller holes are to be used for the Perkins-Elmer 2 ml yttrium-90 vial, while the larger hole for the Eckert & Ziegler 10 ml yttrium-90 vial. Insert the temperature probe of the digital thermometer into the designated temperature probe hole in the heating block. Turn on the block heater by pressing the on-off button on the right. Set the digital temperature to 45 degrees centigrade by incrementing the arrow buttons on the left, and then start the heating function by pressing the on-off button on the left. Allow the temperature to equilibrate for approximately 30 minutes at 45 degrees centigrade using the calibrated thermometer. Do not use heating temperature block readout. If needed, adjust the temperature of the block accordingly so that the digital thermometer reads 45 degrees centigrade, and again, allow approximately 30 minutes for equilibration after each adjustment. Again, remember that the temperature of the reaction vial will always be measured by the temperature probe and not the heating block temperature readout. While waiting for the temperature of the heating block to equilibrate, one can also assay the yttrium-90 activity to be used in the radiolabeling procedure. Step 3. Buffering the yttrium-90. Using the Immunomedics 2.5 molar ammonium acetate pH 5.5 vial, withdraw approximately 0.1 ml and add to the vendor-supplied yttrium-90 reaction vial. Once done, gently invert this reaction vial several times to evenly mix the solution. Step 4. Adding the clavatuzumab tektraxetan to the yttrium-90 reaction vial.
Begin by withdrawing 1 ml or 10 milligrams of clavatuzumab tetraxetan DOTA into a syringe. Then, add slowly to the yttrium-90 reaction vial, keeping in mind that this must be done slowly in order to prevent the antibody from foaming. Once completed, invert and gently swirl the yttrium-90 reaction vial to mix the contents. Step 5. Incubating the reaction vial. Place the yttrium-90 reaction vial into the appropriately sized hole of the aluminum heating block, allowing for minimal airspace between the vial and block. Recall that the smaller holes are for the Perkner-Elmer yttrium-90 isotope vials, while the larger holes are for the Eckert and Ziegler yttrium-90 isotope vials. Incubate for exactly 15 minutes at 45 plus or minus 2 degrees centigrade. Again, do not add water to the holes in the aluminum block. While incubating the reaction vial, fill a syringe with 0.2 ml of 0.1 molar DTPA into a syringe and set aside for the next step. Step 6. Adding DTPA to the incubated reaction vial. At the end of the 15-minute incubation, remove the yttrium-90 radio-labeled clavatuzumab tetraxetan from the heating block and slowly add 0.2 ml of 0.1 molar DTPA. The DTPA is added in order to bind with any remaining free yttrium-90. Once done, swirl and invert gently several times. Step 7. Performing ITLC radiochemical analysis and evaluating the results. Begin by preparing a chromatography chamber by adding 0.5 to 0.8 ml of normal saline solution as a solvent. Then, using a 20 gauge syringe, withdraw and spot approximately 1 drop of radio-labeled yttrium-90 clavatuzumab tetraxetan from the reaction vial and spot onto the bottom line of the ITLC strip. Immediately place the chromatography strip into the solvent vial and allow the solvent front to migrate to the top solid front line. Remove the chromatography strip and cut strip at the central line, producing section 1 and section 2. To ensure the same counting geometry, further cut section 1 into 2 equal strips of approximately the same length. Place these sections into 2 counting vials. Count the background of each chromatography strip and the actual strip. The percentage bound will be equal to the net counts in section 1 divided by the sum of the net counts in section 1 plus the net counts in section 2 multiplied by 100. This result must be greater to or equal than 90% for an acceptable QC. Step 8. Withdraw the prescribed radiolabeled activity of yttrium-90 clavatuzumab tektraxetan into an appropriately shielded and labeled 10 ml syringe. Then, bring the volume up to 8 ml with normal sterile saline solution. Finally, assay the prescribed dose in a dose calibrator calibrated for a 10 ml syringe with an 8 ml volume. Step 9. Preparing the yttrium-90 counting standard. In this final step, the yttrium-90 counting vial for site PK quantitation is prepared. After the dose has been prepared and assayed, prepare an yttrium-90 counting standard from the residual radiolabeled reaction vial. First, withdraw 0.1 ml from the yttrium-90 reaction vial and add to a 10 ml vial containing 9.9 ml of normal saline solution. This vial should be labeled as yttrium-90 dilution vial number 1. Gently swirl to evenly mix. Then, withdraw 1.0 ml from this dilution vial number 1 and add to a 10 ml vial containing 9.0 ml of normal saline solution. This vial should be labeled as yttrium-90 counting standard and will be sent to the site for PK quantitation. Again, gently swirl to evenly mix. The following are frequently asked questions and answers, as well as comments. Please pause the clip at any point to carefully review. For updated and additional material, please refer to the study manual.